In 60 days, one of my clients lost 12 pounds of fat. That's a sustainable 1.5 pounds per week, while gaining 5.7 pounds of lean mass. Typically, a third of weight loss tends to be lean mass loss, so this was textbook perfect. And she's in her 60s, so if you're younger, you can achieve this far more easily. She did this despite her struggles.
If I'm paying attention to what I'm eating, it's chocolate every day.
Because she made one habit shift that made those moments just moments. It didn't freak her out and falling off the wagon for months, despite cravings, overeating, social temptations, vacations, and stress. Better yet, the 60-day roadmap has worked for my almost 1,000 clients. By the end of this video, you will have a roadmap that you can customize to your lifestyle, and you will know what healthy, sustainable weight loss looks and feels like. The first step in the roadmap is to have realistic expectations so you don't become a fool who gives up just as you're about to see results. Given the weight loss ads out there, all of us start out expecting to lose 2 to 5 pounds or more per week. And then after reading the science, and let's be honest, failing a bunch at losing so much per week, our expectations are forced down to 1 to 2 pounds per week. But even that is setting yourself up for failure because it doesn't take your body's natural trends into account. Here's a case study of a client of mine where over the 60 days, she's gaining weight despite sticking to her plan every single week. If you're like I was, you'd probably throw in the towel and binge on chips because what's the point of staying on track if there are no results happening? But we'd both have been fools who threw in the towel while we were making progress. Wait, how? Because if we plot fat and lean mass, we see that it's the lean mass gain causing her weight to go up, not fat gain. Her fat is actually trending down. This is textbook perfect because she looked like the pictures on the right instead of left at her goal weight, despite sticking to her plan every single week. Good catch. She goes from 2-ish weeks of fat gain to 2-ish weeks of fat loss, then repeats the cycle. In fact, she showed up to our coaching call completely confused and frustrated about what's going on. Well, she's not alone. Here's the fat loss trend of another client of ours. She alternates between fat gain and fat loss. What's going on? What's going on is this is their natural body pattern of losing fat. It's like drifting down the river toward their goal, even if some weeks are slower. I told them both that they could possibly go faster if we made the plan stricter, but then also said they're on their way to goal regardless. So what's the hurry? Both of them fortunately agreed and said as long as they expect this, they don't see the point of making things hard. And there it is. When we say, I need to see results, I found what we really mean is I need my results to be predictable. And expecting to lose weight every week is not realistic. Instead, do 3 things. 1, use the body fat tracker linked in the description below to track not just weight, but fat versus lean mass. This will tell you if you're losing fat despite stagnant weight. 2, set a realistic time frame to your goal. As long as you're losing 0.5 to 1% body weight per week on average, or 1 to 3% body fat percentage per month on average, your plan is working, so keep sticking to it. Notice that I said on average, meaning you may not see this progress every single week or every single month. You don't have control over your outputs or results, but you have 100% control over your inputs or actions. So hinging your emotional stability on outputs is setting yourself up for guaranteed insanity. Set yourself up for success by focusing far more on your inputs, because if you have that right, the outputs will happen when they happen. Specifically, if your ratio of sticking to your plan versus being off it for the past scrolling 4 weeks is 80% or more, results are right around the corner if you just hold on. Here's an outcome-based way of thinking about it.
It's not about how fast I lose the weight. It's about how I'm going to maintain this for the rest of my life.
And here's a journey-based way.
I can do the same thing as my friend and have completely different results. I need to figure this out myself because this is my body.
But what if you're at over 80% but are seeing slower results than even the slow end of the time frame? Or what if you can't ever stay over 80% consistently? This is why a plan that hits the sweet spot between results and ease is the key to success. Wait, there's a way to get results while feeling like I'm not hanging on by my fingernails? After 3 years of yo-yo dieting, I was shocked to find out, yes, this is actually possible. Let me break down how. First, I realized that all weight loss plans out there fit into 3 categories. 1, prescribes nutrition and exercise plans. 2 prescribes mainly exercise plan, and 3 prescribes mainly nutrition plan. My instinct was to go with type 1 because that would stack the deck in my favor, which is scientifically true. If you do both, you will lose more weight and be healthier and fitter. But my history showed this to be really hard to keep up in practice. I felt more hungry when I exercised more, which would then throw me off my nutrition plan. And then I felt I failed my entire plan, so I'd think, let me start again next week and binge on pizza this week. Then I'd get back on next week, but then after some time, the cycle would just repeat again. My ratio of sticking to my plan versus being off it was definitely less than 80%. But then science. What to do? Well, there is theoretical science, which is based on here's everything you can do, you machine. And then there is practical science, which is based on you can do anything, but not everything, you human. The metabolism pyramid tells us what the anything should be for the sweet spot. Exercise contributes at most 20% to our metabolism, while nutrition is the main in-hour control contributor to the other 80% of our metabolic rate. Once I understood this, I immediately discarded types 1 and 2 and went with type 3. But even in type 3, there are 6 different subtypes.
Losing weight was this whole complicated formula which had like so many variables into it. It was like a whole completely mystifying process, in my opinion, at the time.
That's exactly how I felt listening to the various gurus out there. And then I came across this story. For 10 weeks, Mark Hobb, a nutrition professor, ate only Twinkies, nutty bars, and powdered donuts whenever he wanted. As a result, at the end of the 10 weeks, he lost 27 pounds. How? His only rule was to stay under 1,800 calories per day when his body needs 2,600 calories to stay at his current size. Think of nutrition like a Russian doll with 2 layers. The outer, bigger layer is if you eat fewer calories than you burn, you will lose weight. But if you eat too few calories, your hunger and cravings will go crazy and you'll overeat and gain weight. In coaching, what we have found is a 15% calorie deficit is the sweet spot between losing weight and not risking imminent overeating and falling off plan. Use the calorie calculator linked in the description below to calculate what 15% deficit is for you. But we have also found in our data that a 15% deficit alone may not be enough to prevent hunger and cravings. I'm sure you've noticed you get hungry quicker after 300 calories of fries than 300 calories of steak, and therefore end up eating over your calorie target on a fries day than a steak day. This is how all the diets out there work, by indirectly getting you into a calorie deficit by cutting all junk and sweets and having you eat only whole foods. But I'm sure you know from experience that drastically cutting junk, sweets, and carbs only causes more and more uncontrollable cravings over time, and going off the rails in social events and vacations where the rest of the world is still enjoying junk, sweets, and carbs right in front of your face. So what is the sweet spot between still eating junk, sweets, and carbs and staying in a calorie deficit and feeling satiated and fewer cravings? We return to the metabolism pyramid, which tells us up to 10% of our metabolism comes from digesting our food. And out of all the nutrients, protein pushes this to the upper end of 10% the most. What luck! Protein also causes the most satiety. You only need to eat 12% of a protein to start feeling satiated compared to eating 48% of a carb or 38% of fat. And protein is the main nutrient needed to maintain and build muscle, which is about 16% of the 65% of your resting metabolic rate. A 3-for-1. Even better, you don't need to eat 1 gram of protein for every pound of your body weight like all the bodybuilder fitness gurus out there say. Our data collected from thousands of people shows just 18% of your calories coming from protein is sufficient to get all 3 benefits. The calorie calculator linked in the description will also tell you how much protein this is in grams for you. To be clear, the protein target is a greater than target, meaning at minimum you eat what the calculator says, while the calorie target is a less than target, meaning at maximum you eat what the calculator says. And you let the fats and carbs, which includes junk and sweets, fall where they may as long as you meet these 2 targets. This is the sweet spot for sustainable weight loss, but still not easy weight loss. I'm sure you've tried nutrition plans where you were not hungry, were losing fat, and yet out of nowhere, cravings hit you like a truck. And suddenly, you've binged on a whole bag of chips. You feel guilt, shame, and frustration, and are left wondering what the heck just happened. If you're like me, you're not entirely sure. So you summon your willpower to never do it again. And yet, it happens again and keeps happening. Why? Because we never answered what the heck just happened. It's like your car can start but won't move, so you pour gas into it when the problem is the engine. The way we figure out what the heck just happened is by using the behavior chain. At the first trigger point, do what my client did.
I just want to eat just because I've been so good. Like, I want to reward myself. I do have those days, but the fact that I'm acknowledging it, I know for a fact that I'm doing it, it's enough for me to say, it's okay, it's just one of those days.
This acceptance in itself is powerful because it relaxes the fight or flight tension building inside you, which gives you a better chance to not give into your cravings, or if you do, moderate how much you eat. Then between the craving and action steps, create a speed bump in 2 ways. 1, voice record your verbatim thoughts, what happened around you, what feelings you had, and what are your current thoughts. 2, drink 1 glass of water as you record your thoughts, as the act of swallowing itself can cause our brains to think we're eating and therefore satisfy the craving. If after that you still want your crave food, eat it. And then after the reward step, do 2 things. 1, voice record your verbatim thoughts in the aftermath. How are you feeling? What are your thoughts? And review your recording to take a stab at what you would do differently the next time. Set your environment up to make doing the plan easy and convenient for you the next time.
Things aren't progressing in a manner that I would like them to. And I have the feeling I just want to give up because it's too hard. No, don't worry about that. Just go do something that feels like a win. Since I have 5 things that I'm working on, I got five ways to feel like it's a win. I can pick one that feels good right now. It's like, hey, go drink some water. I don't feel like it. Well, okay, go for a walk. That sounds better. I'll do that.
This is a small investment that sets you up to keep doing the behavior change you do want to strengthen. It can reduce the time to recovery to minutes. And because no transformation is a one-shot linear process, the roadmap is more like an upward spiral where you go through these 3 phases repeatedly. It's a process based on what is instead of what should be, which counterintuitively makes weight loss easier and faster.
I just got back from a 4-week vacation and I was very scared that I'd put on weight, but as it turns out, I actually lost weight once I came back.
I think it was kind of a more scientific approach from not just like a nutritionist who tells you exactly, eat this way, but more of a exploring your own body and how it works and what works.
But how do you get through the layers of the spiral as quickly as is sustainable so you aren't wasting time to goal? You can do it in 2 ways. 1, if you want my help shortcutting you through all the trial and error to nailing sustainable and easy weight loss, then check out the free sneak peek into my Badass Body Boss program in the description and comments below. Or if you want to DIY it, then rewriting the stories so you are more and more consistent is the hardest part. So you don't want to ignore this video where I explain the 5 atomic habits that made rewriting the stories in my head way easier so I wasn't wasting time getting to my goal. So you don't want to miss the complete step-by-step breakdown here. And always remember, you can do it.